let me come back to the question, which was, has immigration and the failures of immigration policy helped the BNP? I think there have been undoubted failures of immigration policy. I think there's been some really shambolic delivery of immigration policy over the last few years. For example, our border control, which was a process begun, by the way, by the Conservative government and continued by Labour, our border control no longer is able to count people out. The result is we issue nearly 2 million visas every year to students and other people on short-term visas, and we don't know whether they've left. And that is absolutely unbelievable. And the first thing we need to do is to make sure we get back control over our borders. The other thing, I think the government, frankly, made an unbelievable mistake in its projections of what was going to happen when we, among very few other European countries, decided we were going to allow everybody from the new Central and Eastern European member states in. The government projected it would be 56,000 people would come here. It ended up being 766,000. That is probably, I'm a bit of a connoisseur of bad government forecasts, but that is probably one of the worst government forecasts on record.
And had they... hang on, wait. Had they known that would be the figure, what could they have done to change it? It was part of the European Union, which you support.
No, it wasn't. But
what could they have done?
Absolutely wrong, David.
What could they have done?
It was not. What happened was that most of the other European countries decided to have transitional arrangements whereby they didn't allow free immigration from Central and Eastern Europe.
For how long?
Alone,
for how long?
For 10 years. Yeah. But the point is that for Denmark, Ireland and the UK, we decided to go ahead and open our borders immediately. Now, obviously, if you couldn't go, on the basis of government forecasts, which were entirely wrong. Now, let me come back to the final...
Hold on a second. Just deal with this one. Jack Straw says that you wanted this to happen.
You
voted for it.
I didn't. I wasn't in Parliament. But we looked at this forecast on the assumption that the government's forecast was correct. It was unbelievably inaccurate.
The Conservative Party were the only one...
Let's not go any further down the European road.
Hang on, there's a rather important part of the argument about the success of the BNP. Because the evidence on the success of the BNP is very simple. It's not primarily about immigration. What it is actually about is people being disconnected from the political system. And we're the only party in Burnley that has managed to halve BNP support over the last 4 years. We've actually now running the council, and we've done that by listening to people. And the problem is, frankly, there aren't enough Liberal Democrats out there doing what was done in Burnley to turn back the BNP, because we're the only party that's actually done it.
Okay. Nick Griffin.
It is rather surprising to have a senior Lib Dem masquerading, it seems, as an anti-immigration party. But Jack Straw was actually right, I think, on this, when he said that, no, it's not the Labour Party's fault. It's the fault of the entire political elite, which has imposed an enormous multicultural programme, experiment, on the British people without so much as buy your leave. All we've got out of it is tax bills. It's transformed our country to the extent that the government's own figures, interpreted by demographers...
Who are the British people? Who are you talking about?
Can I finish and then come...
I'd like to know this.
Yes, yeah. Okay. The government's own figures, according to demographers at Oxford University, show that the indigenous British, the people who've been here...
The whites.
That's it. The skin colour's irrelevant, Jack. Skin colour's irrelevant.
What do you mean by white, Mr. Griffith? Indigenous?
I think this gets to the very point.
Wait a minute, can I ask a question? Because you agree
wait. Why are you against mixed marriage?
Wait. If you all attack on different fronts, we'll get nowhere.
Yes.
Just finish what you were saying.
I think we've reached the absolute nub of it. No one here, Jack Straw, wouldn't dare to go to New Zealand and say to a Maori, what do you mean indigenous? You wouldn't dare to go to North America and say to an American Red Indian, a Sioux or whatever, what do you mean indigenous? We're all the same. The indigenous people of these islands, the people, the English, the Scots, the Irish and the Welsh.
The whites.
The colour is irrelevant. It's the people who have been here overwhelmingly for the last 17,000 years. We are the Aborigines here. That's the I'm sorry if you laugh. If you want to look at the scientific evidence online or whatever, read the books by various scientists. The simple fact is that the majority of the British people are descended from people who've lived here since time immemorial.
Not me.
And it's extraordinarily racist. This is genuinely racist. When you seek to deny the English, you people wouldn't even let us have our name on the census form. That is racism, and that's why people are voting British National Party, because we feel shut out in our own country. They have guided tours in the Lake District have been cancelled because only English people, white people, were going on them.
What nonsense?
Gloucestershire Police. No, it's not. Gloucestershire Police. Gloucestershire Police turned down 108 recruits because they were white.
Let's get back to the question. The question. All right, you've made up facts. The question was about immigration policy. Can the success of the BNP be explained by the misguided immigration policy, the immigration policy that you call the greatest act of genocide against the British people in history, according to your website? The immigration invasion, an act of deliberate, calculated genocide against our ancient race and nation. So successive governments are committing genocide against their own people. Is that your theory?
I'm afraid that's the case. Yeah, that's certainly how
it
looks.
That's your
theory. From the ordinary grassroots position, when all the political elite celebrates all the multicultural diversity and
do you know the definition of genocide?
Door. Yes, I do, and it is
what
about.
Is the definition
it's
of
about destroying the United Nations definition. Is about destroying a culture by not allowing children to learn their own culture, for example.
How appalling, Mr. Griffin, that you use that word in that way.
Bonnie Greer.
Look, the term indigenous, first of all, there was an ice age here. There were no people here in the ice age because they couldn't live in the ice.
Let's not go too far.
Hang on, no, this
Bonnie,
is
let's not go too far back.
No, listen.
We'll be here all night if we start at the ice age.
David, Nick Griffin calls his party for indigenous ice age. Am I wrong?
The people largely descended by the people who came here when the ice melted.
Okay, when the ice melted 17,000 years ago, people came up from the south, didn't they? They couldn't come from the north. Where would they have come from the south? All of us, and you know this because you have a tube too in history. All of us are descended from Africa. You wouldn't disagree with that, would you? Okay, now the only people who were here on this continent, and I've got a lot of books, in fact I brought a lot of stuff for you to read, Nick, because you need it. The only people who were here, and I call them people, were Neanderthals. Those were the people who were on the European continent. Now, if you don't believe that you can come to the British Museum. We got lots and lots of information for you. I really wish you come because the history you got on your website is a joke. It's wacky. And anybody who would seriously get upset by it.
You're in the middle of the white shirt there. I know you've spoken already.
No,
you haven't. All right, speak up then.
This is a question to Dick Griff. Beg your pardon, Nick.
Now, come on, just make a
You're committed to reversing, and you're committed to stemming the flow and reversing the flow of immigration into the UK, so that we revert back to a white Britain. Where do you want me to go? This is my country. I love this country. I'm part of this country. You know what? I was born here, I was educated here. You'd be surprised how many people will have a whip round to buy you a ticket and your supporters to go... to go to the South Pole. It's a colourless landscape. It will suit you fine.
You want to answer him?
Yes, thank you. Our immigration policy is, I think, supported by 84% of the British people at present, who, according to a very recent opinion poll, said they're worried about immigration.
Which opinion poll, Nick? Which is
honestly
it?
Don't remember.
Well, there you go.
But it was in the papers only the other day.
What was it?
And this included 2/3 of members of settled ethnic minorities in this country also saying immigration is out of control. It's time to shut the door. Because our policy is
what he said was, where do you want me to go, was his question.
I'm very happy for you to stay here. What we've said is that we believe that it's time to shut the door because this country is overcrowded, that criminals, bogus asylum seekers and people who aren't loyal to this country should be deported and everyone else can stay.
There's no such thing as a bogus... There's no such thing as a bogus asylum seeker. You are an asylum seeker.
All right, you said in the front.
You are an asylum seeker. That's a legal term.
I'm amazed that you still pander to the left. Immigration is a major issue in this country. It's because of your policies in this regard that BNP have risen. Can you not accept that a government has an issue about this and has to tackle it square on?